everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. So today's video I'm going to be taking along with me as I make two different cakes. One's a simple round cake and then one's a Minecraft cake. So if you do enjoy today's video, please give it a thumbs up as it does help my channel a lot. If you do enjoy today's video along with other content you see here on my channel, I would love for you to consider subscribing and joining my YouTube family. So don't forget that red subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos from me. So first I'm going to take you through how I make my chocolate cake. Here are all the ingredients that you need. Most of them you'll likely have on hand as staples in your house. The apple cider vinegar I never used to have, but now I always have on hand because this is the recipe I make for every one of my chocolate cupcakes and chocolate cakes. The containers for the flour and sugar are Tupperware. I love them because I can hold a large quantity. I do lots of baking, so it's less times that I have to refill a container. The first thing I had to do was get all of the cakes made, so I made this chocolate cake recipe several times. I'll have the recipe in my description box below. If you want a more step-by-step voiceover version of making this recipe, check out my latest Minecraft party and prep video. I make cupcakes with the exact same recipe and do a bit of a step-by-step there. So I made a small round cake for a family member, and for the Minecraft cake I didn't really know what I was doing yet and how much cake I was going to need, so I ended up making one flat cake, 2 square cakes, and 2 round cakes that I was going to later on cut up how I needed it, but I figured I needed a large flat cake as a surface, but then made the square cakes because I was thinking I might need them for a bit bigger of a surface area if I needed it, and then for the mountains I thought I would use quarters or halves of the round cake. So I had to make a lot of cake, and then once they were all cooled down and everything, I then stuck them all in the freezer overnight.
In a gown and a crown, barefoot.
So the next thing I did the next day was I made all of the icing. I use a simple classic butter icing, so this is everything you'll need. You are supposed to use butter, but I never buy butter. I just buy these margarine blocks, and they come in half cup sizes, so they're perfect and easy for me to measure. I will have the recipe in my description box below. If you want more of a detailed step-by-step voiceover version of this recipe, again, check out my Minecraft party and prep video because I do a bit more of a step-by-step on how to make this icing. It's honestly super simple and really easy, and then I just make however consistency I need depending if I'm piping or if I'm icing a cake. So here I had to make a couple colors for the small round cake, and then I had to make, I believe, 3 colors for the Minecraft cake.
In a gown and a crown, barefoot.
When it comes to coloring your icing, I highly recommend using the gels and not the food coloring. You get 8 more true colors and you have more of a variety as well, so you can get all those different browns and pinks and blues and greens and don't have to have a red that looks pink. So I thought I'd show you guys some of the things I use for decorating the cakes. One thing I got, which I got for my birthday last year, is this cake turntable. It's from Amazon, and it's honestly like the greatest thing I have for decorating cakes, because now I can spin my cake as I ice it and pipe it. So this has been a game changer for me for sure. I have a couple of these things that I can use to add little detail on the side of the cake or the top of the cake. So I kind of use these to smooth out the cake or add like a little bit of texture. And then I have these icing spreaders. I have 4 different sizes, so depending on the size of the cake I'm doing will depend on what size I use. Because I'm not doing a very big cake, I'll probably use between these 2 for the size and the top. And then I actually put the cake in this cake holder, so I'll actually put this tray on top of the turntable, so that way I don't have to try to move it afterwards. Sometimes what I'll also do is take a piece of cardboard, wrap it in aluminum foil, and then put that as a base for the cake to go on, so I can easily transfer it to this. So I end up putting this on top. It doesn't slide off, so it works perfectly fine. And here's a little fun tip for you guys. So when I make my cakes, I actually freeze them for a bit first, for at least an hour or 2, because then when I go to ice it, it's not crumbly, and because it's frozen, so it makes it much easier and much smoother to ice. So a little tip for you guys. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spread the teal icing as the base for the cake, get that all over the cake as best I can, and then I'm going to use one of my pieces to do a little bit of a cool texture around the edge, and then to smooth out the top as well.
I hope who I am is enough for you. If I'm giving you my love, giving you my love.
So now that the teal icing is done, I'm going to next do some piping. So I'm going to pipe some of the pink icing along the bottom because I find it just cleans up the edge at the bottom a little bit and hides any flaws there may have been. Like for example, the fact that I forgot to add some oil to the pan for this cake, so some of the cake did end up staying in the pan, so it's not perfectly level, but that's okay. And then I just piped some stuff along the top just to add a bit more texture to the cake and some interest to make it look really pretty. And I apologize guys while I'm doing this voiceover, my kids are playing in the background because they are home, so I apologize for the noise that you're hearing from them.
Closer, I wanna stay here with you.
So for my son's birthday cake, he wants a Minecraft cake and he wants some characters on it and stuff. Last year I did a Star Wars cake with some of his Lego Star Wars on the cake, so he wants the same kind of thing this year but Minecraft. So he's actually sketched out a design of what he wants. So as you can see, he has like the scene, he wants a couple like mountains or whatever they are, and he's actually put where he wants all the different characters. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get this cake to stand, because last year I had a little bit of a mountain and it fell over, so I might have to just make it a bit bigger, because I think my problem was it was too thin, so it was too floppy, so I might just have to go bigger. So we'll see. I might end up making this big cake on a tray. We'll see what happens, but you know what, I'm sure he'll like no matter what I come up with. So some of the characters he wants to use is this creeper. I'm still fairly new to Minecraft. I don't know a ton about it, but my son is absolutely obsessed with it. And he has a ton of Lego of Minecraft. So there's this little guy right here. I'm just gonna focus on it because he's really small. And then there's a couple of these skeleton guys. And then we have, don't ask me the names of these guys because I have no idea. But there's this guy, another skeleton. I think these all have names. Like I think one guy's name is Steve, but I don't know who Steve is. This is like a smaller creeper, I guess. I think this is a turtle, but maybe it's not. I don't know. I think it is though. And then there's no idea what this is. And then we have another creeper. So there seems to be a few of them. I know the creeper is like the main character, I guess, in this. So I have to take all of these characters and design this and put it on a cake. So we'll see how it turns out, but I'll go take you guys along with me the whole process. I am no cake decorator by any means. I simply decorate cakes for my family and I do it for fun. So I'm kind of learning as I go. I'm self-taught. I've never taken a course or anything. So my cake will not look perfect, but that's okay. At the end of the day, as long as my son likes the cake, that's all I really care about. So I thought I'd just show you guys a little sketch that he did and what he's kind of asked for, and just so you can kind of see what I'm going for. So we'll see how it actually turns out. So now it's time to figure out how I was going to build this cake. So I end up using the large flat rectangular piece, a full square piece, and a half square piece to make it a very large surface area. And then I cut the round pieces into roughly quarters so I could stack up one mountain to be 2 stacks high and the other one to be 3 stacks high. And this actually honestly held up really well. You'll see at the end, but the cake did remain standing. I didn't have to add any Q-tips or anything to it to keep it standing. So these are the icings I had mixed together for the cake. I made some blue icing, some brown icing, and some green icing because I had a bit of a water feature my son wanted on the cake, a bunch of grass, and then some mud, which, funny story, the brown part on his drawing was not actually supposed to be mud, that was just supposed to be part of the cake. But then at the end, he actually liked that I had the mud on there, so it all turned out okay. So first thing I did was I put the brown on to be the mud, and then I put the 2 circle pieces on there just as a template to figure out where they were going to sit. Next I put some blue icing on here. It's to look like a lake. You'll see later on when it all comes together. And then I want to start putting the green icing on the first layer below the round thing to be more like a bit of a glue. And then I put that first layer on and started filling it all, covering it all with green icing. And then once that was all covered, I'll put the next layer on and cover it all with the green icing as well. So once I got the outside edge of the mountain all assembled there, I want to spread the rest of the green icing all over the cake, and then that way I could start building the other mountain, which was 3 layers high. After making the icing, I went to my kids' school to get them, and one of the moms pointed out I had some blue around my eye. Well, I got home, discovered I had a bunch on my face, which I've never been so thankful for in a mask because it covered it up and no one else knew how much I truly had on my face. I was actually quite impressed that the layer remained standing. I think having the larger pieces really helped because when I did it last year, I had my pieces way too narrow, so there wasn't much to hold it down. So this time, both mountains end up staying standing, so I was really quite proud of that and glad that I did the larger pieces, which meant for a larger cake overall, but it's what I had to do to keep everything standing. Next it was time to make the waterfall, so I just did some piping for this because I thought it'd give the most realistic waterfall look. So I just piped down the mountain here, and then I piped over the green and then added a few other small amounts of piping to make them look like waves in the lake. So I had to make something that resembled rocks. So I just basically piped some big blobs and smoothed it out, and that was to look like big rocks. I think it honestly looked the part once everything was assembled, so it was all good. I then took some of the icing and just dabbed it onto the mud area to make it look like little rocks. The last big part of this cake was adding the grass. I do have an icing tip that's specifically for grass. I actually have 3 of them. So this is one of them, and it's actually really easy to use once you get used to it. But before every cake I make that I use it, I do a test sample on a plate to make sure I'm pushing the right amount of icing out to get the right length of grass that I want, because you have to be a little delicate with it as well and not push too firmly and not give too much icing out of the tip either. So that's what I did here, and then I took another tip here and just filled in some of the gaps I had on the mountains just to make it look a little more filled in. The last thing we had to do was my son put all of the characters on there, which we used parts of his Lego for, and he actually ended up loving the mud because he had some of the creepers squished in the mud, and then he had the skeleton going face down the mud, which he thought was really cool. So I'm glad I had to accidentally put the mud there because I think overall it added to the cake a lot. I love how this round cake turned out. It's super simple, not too crazy, and looks really nice, and I make a lot of cakes like this. The Minecraft cake turned out absolutely amazing. I think compared to the drawing, it came out great, and my son absolutely loved it. So I'm actually really proud of this cake. But I'll be honest, we had cake for days. So we actually have half the cake in the freezer because we just couldn't eat it all because we'd be eating it for weeks on end and get sick of cake at that point. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. That does help my channel a lot. If you do enjoy today's video, along with other content you see here on my channel, I would love for you to consider subscribing. It would help my channel out so much and mean the world to me. So don't forget that red subscribe button and the notification bell to miss any future videos from me. Thank you so much for watching my video today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
You got me.